make some music this morning, something that we'll all want to sing. A new song just for this morning. Happiness is now happening, and there's a sweet melodic harmony shining through my soul and up and out to you, 'cause it's a great day. Isn't it true what we can do when a positive thought meets a loving feeling? Intention starts to grow. A positive thought meets a loving feeling. Intention starts to flow. It's such a lovely good morning. Happy just to see you today. A super seaback good morning. Nothing's gonna get in our way. And there's an open window to my heart, sending all this love right through and out to you. 'Cause it's a great, yes, it's a great, it's simply a great day.
Can I have some Middle Eastern music, please? Because now that I want to read Rumi, he needs the best he can get, because I butchered him first service. Luckily, it wasn't recorded. Ha 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 ha. Rumi, guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes in like an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. He may be clearing out your consciousness for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing, ha ha, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each was sent as a guide from beyond. La-da. Thank you very much. I hope that nothing else I'm going to be using this later on today, because this whole thing was orchestrated by the Most High. What Dawn said, what Lisa's saying, what was played here is like we are definitely, there's one and it playing us. Are you willing in the creativity to be played by a bigger orchestra than what you know about? And so it's also just so fun to watch people come together, and it's like, no, it's not that. Well, let's try this, and then it's not that. Yes, that's it. So that is what it is to be living creatively, because we miss the point if we think to live creatively is to produce something that someone else can see or someone else can touch. Living creatively is actually the way to just make it up the way you want to make it up. We're all creative beings because we are a creative species. We are the species that creates. We create stuff. Now, there's a lot of intelligent species, but we're the only ones that have built bridges, flown airplanes, built tunnels, made war. We are creative. It's just the way we are. And if we don't consciously create and channel that energy, then what we'll do is we'll make mischief. And mischief is made because we've got this creative urge and we don't know how to express it in a way that's beneficial to ourselves or someone else. So we can create for good or we can create for bad. And I don't even want to say good or bad because that's too much of a strange scale. It's beneficial or not so beneficial. We create things to be beneficial or not so beneficial. So today I want to talk about some beneficial ideas. But most of all, before I get into my talk, I want to share with you something that I made up. I just made it up. And I hope it's beneficial. And I made it up because that's what people do, and they've been doing it for a very long time. So I'm going to make up stuff about the solar eclipse that will be happening tomorrow. Just make it up. I hope it helps you. But it's really helped me. It's really shifted my awareness because I wanted to make up significance about it. I wanted to make up a meaning about it. Now, you can either make up a meaning or not, but you can choose to make up a meaning. So I'll share with you the meaning that I made up. First of all, this is significant because the United States has not had this particular event in 99 years. I'm alive, and I'm not 3 years old, and I'm not in my deathbed. And I'm awake and aware, and it's going to happen. And it's not going to be exactly where I am, but I'm close. So I'm going to experience a lot of it. So I'm going to make up everything that I can to just suck the living juice out of it. Because that's what people have been doing for millennia, thousands of years. They see something, they make something up, and hopefully it's something that benefits them. I celebrate the winter solstice, the summer solstice, the equinoxes. I just suck the living juice out of them. And I do it because so many human beings have before me that I actually move into a wave of strength in their collective consciousness, and then I do with it as I choose to do with it. So here's what I came up with: solar eclipse. First of all, science. According to science, and you know this, but let's just talk about it because 500 years ago they didn't get it. We're so smart now. Sun, Earth, Moon. Once in a great while, Moon gets in the way of Sun, and people see the sun darkening and kind of going away. Can you imagine 500 years ago what that did to people? Whoa. I want that same whoa consciousness. Now here's another fact from science. Supposedly, and I can't wait to see, it will get dark enough in the sky, especially if we were in the path, that the night sky will start to appear, and the planets that were always there, and some of the brighter stars that are always there will appear. Because the sun is no longer going, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it'll get dark enough that what had seemed invisible will become visible. Now I'm using this because I want to then create a metaphor out of it for myself. So what could be the metaphor? Well, what we know about the sun is that it often represents our ego and our outer personality. For instance, if somebody asks you what your sign is, what they're really asking for is not your whole horoscope. Boring. What they're really asking for is your sun sign, right? Because the sun sign is sort of what you present to people. It's what your outer persona. It has a lot to do with who you think you are. Now, there's a lot going on. I'm not into astrology, and I think the last time I had a horoscope done was maybe 25 years ago. I'm not an expert in this. But there's a lot going on in your astrological chart besides just your sun sign, right? How many of you are into that stuff? How many of you are willing to admit it? Great. Thank you. How many of you, just in case you're reading one of those magazines and you happen to just open it up and see what's going on? How many of you will, thank you. Fine. Because you're all sitting there, oh, I'm too holy, not into that stuff. So, the sun represents not only our outer shell, but also what we present to the world, and it's also oftentimes who we think we should be in the world, how we're supposed to present ourselves. And it's ego. Now, ego is not bad, never bad. God created everything and nothing is bad. That's what I don't like, good and bad. That's crazy. Everything is for good. It's just it can get a little overused, sort of like water. We need water, and at times it can be overused. That creates flooding and catastrophes. So everything is neutral, everything is good, and sometimes it runs amok. So to the ego, which allows our personality to exist in this incarnation, and sometimes it can it can run amok. How many of you have ever run into people with huge egos, fill the room, and then you're like bumping into them all the time? Thank you for understanding. So here's the sun, and tomorrow in the morning, it's going to be eclipsed, meaning that something's going to get in its way and it won't be so bright. And what's going to get in its way is the moon, which is that more inner side of us, the deeper, still working, but it's not so revealing. Sometimes it'll show up in the day, but oftentimes it seems to come and go. It's that aspect of ourself that sometimes we show and sometimes we don't, just like the moon. So how many of you know that there's parts of you that you keep private and then sometimes it comes out and then it goes back? It's that side that you don't show everybody, but sometimes you feel safe enough and then you kind of show up and then you kind of pull back. Like the moon, waxing and waning. So tomorrow, that deeper self is going to eclipse that self that wants to shine all the time. And they're both you, just like Cranky Pants and Nice Guy Practitioner. Don Beatty Cranky Pants. That's what actually, when I get into those things and I have those feelings, I just give myself a name that makes me laugh and I feel better. Oh yeah, Pissy Poo. Okay, here we go. Meaning cute, but pissy. I know, you can't even imagine that about me. The sun was burning bright one time, wasn't it? So tomorrow there's going to be this side of us that we keep from others, and it's going to eclipse this ego self that shines bright and says, "This is who I am. This is who I am. This is who I am." And what's also going to happen is because of that, the sky, which means our view of the universe, is going to open up, and we're going to see things we hadn't seen before. Things are going to become known to us because we're no longer protecting and shining forth the surface part of us. Now that's what it means for me. Tomorrow, I want my soul to eclipse my personality so that I see the magnificence of the universe that's already there. And I see aspects of myself that's already there, but it's been hidden to me because my ego's been shining too bright. Now, if you'd like to join me in that, I invite you to do so, because this is not going to happen for a long time. I may never see something like this in my lifetime. I'm going to milk it. So, the soul self reveals the inner self. So that's my little talk about tomorrow, because it's significant. It's a big deal, really. I'm excited. I really am. And if I really believed in astrology, what they say is that this is so powerful, the shifts that will happen will reverberate through all of us for a very long time. Well, I'm signing up because I like shift. When you are alive, you shift. If you're not shifting, you're dying. So who wants to sign up for shift? Great. Who wants to sign up for the soul becoming more visible in the world? How many wants to sign up for seeing things about themselves they had not seen before? Great. Now I'll do my talk. Because I did have a talk planned. And that the talk title is The Secret Truth About Want. And want is not a bad thing. It's sort of like egos. There's nothing wrong with wanting. There's nothing wrong with wanting. For instance, I want to live in a cool climate. It helps me make choices about what I do and the plans I make and the vacations I take. Cool is good for me. It's not bad to want. However, wanting can start to run amok. And it runs amok when wanting becomes a line out of a familiar song, The Rose. Some say love is a hungry, aching need. Then she goes on to say what she thinks love is, but how many of you have ever experienced a hungry, aching need? And it doesn't have to necessarily do anything or have to do with anything like love. It could just be a need. How many of you have experienced need? This urge to do something to address the discomfort. I'm not against need. If you don't want to pay penalties, you must pay your taxes on time. You need to pay your taxes on time if you don't want a penalty. If you're dehydrated, you need water. A need that can be fulfilled is good and natural. But it's the hungry, aching, needy stuff that I want to talk about, because that kind of need is debilitating and it's soul killing. It shows up in me. I know I'm into this needy when my voice goes up an octave or two, depending upon how needy I am. And it gets kind of whiny. Really need. How many of you have ever heard that come out of your, I want. Why can't I? If I could only. Hungry, aching need is expressing itself. I need that job. I really need them to behave. I will never love anybody ever again. And I'm so lonely. I need this physical ailment to go away. I need them to get well. How many of you have heard that out of the mouths of somebody else? And you've noticed that there's always that sort of inflection. That inflection, what you're hearing is not the desire. You're hearing the hungry, aching need. You're hearing that. And that isn't pleasant. And it's not pleasant to listen to, and it's certainly not pleasant to live in. What happens is that need eclipses all the other good stuff that's happening. Somebody with a need, lots of good things can happen around them, and it can't even be seen, because the need becomes the sun in their sky. It burns bright, and it's hot, and all they know is that they need. When I was younger and much less emotionally mature, when I really needed to have a partner, my life was my partner. My life was who would spend time with me. My life was, did I have a date? There was a time when I needed a great body. My life was how big or small my thighs were. I needed to exercise, not to be healthy, but because I had to become a thing so I could get a thing. Does that make sense? And then all the good stuff didn't matter. It didn't matter that my family loved me. It didn't matter that I lived in a great place. It didn't matter that I had friends. That didn't matter. It was eclipsed. Everything was eclipsed by this need that I had. Now, here's the thing about need. Many people think that the need is an effect of not having, but need is a cause of the experience you're not having. Need is cause, never effect. So let's go back to review. This is going to be a test. It's only a test. For those of you that have been in any of our classes, what is cause in your life? It's a word. Consciousness is cause. Thank you very much. You can pass. You can move up. Consciousness is cause. Now we teach this, that consciousness is cause. And it seems simple, but people could still stumble over it because they dummy down this saying because it is so powerful and includes everything. But we dummy it down to thinking that my thought is creative and my thought is cause. Well, how many of you have had some really great thoughts and nothing happened? And how many of you have had some terrible, evil thoughts and luckily nothing happened? It proves thought's not it. Thought is put into consciousness, and consciousness is the collection of your thoughts. The whole enchilada of thoughts and your feelings. So if you have a thought and it doesn't have a matching feeling like wonderful Lisa was singing about, you're not going to get the result that you want. And here's the deal. I thought of this last night, and then God bless God, gave me the evidence that I needed to make this even more solid. Consciousness is thought plus feelings supported by and strengthened by our actions. If you're thinking a thing and you're trying to feel the thing, but you don't act the thing, you're not going to get the result. Too many of us like, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. I kind of feel rich. And then we're stingy. What have you just supported? I'm loving. Oh, that. And then you cuss somebody out in your mind. What are you supporting? I had this, so I had done my talk, and then I was talking to one of my friends who works in Hollywood. And in Hollywood, many of the people that work on the TV shows or the movies, they work on projects. They're hired to do a show. Very few people have a job that's usually with a network. The shows are done by contractors. So he had contracted to do a show, and they were coming to the end of the show. But one of the people that he's working with, as they're just finishing up this show, is already hired to go to another show. Not only it's another show, but it's the show everybody wants to work on. It's like the big show for NBC. And my friend is saying, wow, my peer, my friend, he's going on, and he's going on to a great show, and I don't know what I'm going on to. And wow, why him? Why not me? Why not me? But he caught himself, and he helped the friend develop a strategy for getting this show that he's being asked to interview for, and helping him get the contract that he wants for this show. But John said, wow, I'm so evil that I would think such things. I said, but you didn't act on them. But what you acted on was generosity. So if you've reinforced generosity in yourself, you weren't acting on your envy. And I want to give you the clue for envy, by the way. How many of you have ever felt envy? Don't feel bad when you feel envy. You know what envy is? It is a message. Just like Rumi said. Rumi said that everything that comes into your consciousness has a gift from the beyond. Envy is a sign that it's now time for you to accept a bigger life. You think you want their life? No, they're just showing you could have a bigger life. So every time you feel envy, you go, oh, it's time to expand. Bigger life, here I come. They got that job? My job's coming. They got the house? Oh, I can't wait to find my house. They got the car? Oh, a new car is in my future. They got the body? A gym is going to show up. Or however you do it. All things have a great message for you. Now here, let's take this whole thing about want just a little bit deeper, because that empty longing or the feeling of not okayness will always produce more of the same because it's cause. And the cure for this, not for getting something, because you can get the thing, and if you've got a hungry, aching need, you'll hungry, aching need something else. You'll go from one hunger to the next hunger. That's what addiction is. That's what process addiction is. That's what so many people consuming so much and then paying the debt later is. The cure for it is to go deep into the ick until you find the awesome. You go through the ickiness until you find the awesomeness. And that takes mindfulness, or as what I'd like to call soul splunking. Do you know what a splunker is? There are people that want to go into caves. They enjoy it. It's a sport. And a lot of us don't want to go into our soul. It's icky. We don't want to go there. I'm so grateful that Dawn could say, I just said, cranky and whatever the other guy was. He's not avoiding them. To just look and see what's in our soul. I feel this today. I feel that today. And to follow it. To not avoid it, but to say, where is it going? And to just dive deep into your soul and find what the treasure is. Because in the caves of the earth, you'll find diamonds and gold and other precious minerals. And in the cave of your soul, you will find diamonds and gold and other precious minerals. You will find the magnificence of yourself in your soul, not the outer covering. Not the look at me, but deep inside, that's where you're going to find all the riches. And so we follow it and we ask ourselves, if I had this thing that I think I need, if I had this thing, what would I really experience? And you wait till you find out. Because we never want a thing out there. Not really. We want what we think that thing would give us, which is always an experience. So just name the experience. Name the experience and you don't need the need. And then there's another step, because this is what I've taught for, 35 years. But having done some soul splunking lately and really listening, and taking my need like a little white rabbit. Like a little white rabbit. Guess what's coming now? Got the idea. So you take need. And other people probably saw that little white rabbit, but you know what? Alice decided to follow it into a hole. And so you take that need, and instead of chasing it all the time and never catching it, you follow it inside the hole and you dive deep into yourself, and you discover that need was saying, I need to experience something. And you go, oh yeah, that's like, okay, I got it. But then you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is where everything shifted in myself, because what I realized is that beyond this experience that I want to have, beyond that, if I follow that rabbit, if I follow that want and the experience, I discover that what I have been looking at and looking for was the sun within me. In the very darkest part of me, there is a sun. There's a sun within all of you. And that is what we want to express. We will never really be healed. We'll never really move into our spiritual essence. We'll really never be centered in spirit until we start to ask ourselves, what does this need tell me I need to express? Because when we're expressing, everything fills up. And we actually become the Son. Not an ego Son, but the very Son of God. We become the light unto the world. That's the real truth. And thank you guys very much. I'm really grateful. I love White Rabbit anyway. Just such a wonderful thing. Gee, I missed out on LSD. Probably it is. But it does make me homesick for times that were. But even then, if I wanted it, what do I want to express? Even if I thought that that would be okay and it'd give me an experience, what would it be that I wanted to express? Now, see, that's the shift. Wow. Could you see how every time you have a desire, you could ask it questions and it would reveal what your next step is, what you are to shine forth? And that would change the world. So let's just take a deep breath. If you choose, you can join me. We could have really sweet, beautiful, meditative White Rabbit if you want. Could we do meditative White Rabbit? Of course you could. Who has a want? Who's willing to say that you want something? Only a few of you. Who has a want? If you don't have a want, it's going to be hard to play the game. I'm just asking you, do you want to play a game? So here's a want. Now, make the want into a rabbit. White. Big, floppy ears. Pink eyes. And let the rabbit go and let it take you into yourself. And if you follow it deeply into yourself, deeply, you'll see that the rabbit is showing you that you want to experience something. You say you want a person, but what you really want is to experience love. You say you want a job, but you may want to experience security. You say you want a new living situation, but maybe what you want to experience is more beauty and more serenity. What is it that want wants to fulfill? Name that now. Name that. And now, don't be too content. This is the place for real growth. This is when Alice grew up huge. Be Alice and take one more step or one more bite. And let that rabbit reveal to you what your soul is wishing to express. What does your soul want to give out into the world? What is that? What is that? What is that? It's no longer about breathing in and taking in. It's about what is to be breathed out and to be given out. And let your soul reveal it in a word. And in that expression, all else is given. To seek first that kingdom, that realm of the divine within yourself, all else is given. When we allow ourselves to become a vehicle through which the divine can make manifest the glory of God on earth, all else is given. And the wants disappear because they're supplied. The wants disappear because before you ask, it shall be given. The wants disappear because you are so full. You are so full to overflowing that there's nothing that you need. And you become the place where blessings happen naturally. You become the place where people seem to wake up and relationships seem to harmonize and people seem to be blessed and miracles happen all around you and people's lives seem better and all you do is express that word that white rabbit asked you to express. How many of you know what that word is now? Honor it, embrace it, take the rabbit and give it a pet. How beautiful. And so I speak my word of blessing for this very, very auspicious time. I speak my word of blessing that each and every one of us will make up our own meaning for tomorrow morning. And each and every one of us will be blessed by that meaning. I speak my word of blessing that we are now looking at our wants and our desires in totally new ways. And they are no longer things that can or cannot be attained. Instead, they are messengers from the divine, telling us to accept more and be more in the world. And by accepting and being, we become the place where others are blessed in our presence. How good that is. Whew. And so it is.